Mr. Potty himself.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
An extraordinary ideas man. What lay behind the creation of the potties?
Clairvoyance, I think, more than anything. No, I saw it, so I see things happen in my mind before they happen. I thought everybody did. And, you know, I used to get most upset when I'd say, well, I can see this thing happening. And they say, I can't see anything. And I say, oh, weird type, you know. It's just you see creative thinking, you see ahead of something that's going to happen. And I'd been investigating my eldest son's death in an airplane crash. And it was so weird and all the strange circumstances. They were completely innocent, the two lads that went. But the airplane was, you know, part of a whole setup that I wasn't happy with, so I wanted to find out what it was all about. And I got so filled with hate and uptight and what have you, that Harry Seacombe's brother, Fred, said to me, Michael, not like you to be filled with hate like that. That's not you, you know. And I said, no, it isn't, Fred. He said, go back and entertain children like you used to do. Because I'd done it with the Bumbleys. Yeah. Anybody remember the Bumbleys?
Absolutely.
They remember the Bumbleys, you
yes.
see. They remember that years ago. I mean, they were, you know, like that, you see. And so I went away and I wrote the potties. And I had a lot of fun doing it.
Now, each and every one was your creation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How many potties were there altogether?
About 1,128 altogether.
About.
Yeah, about that. Give or take about
every
two.
voice was yours?
Yeah, they were all me. Yeah, they were all different.
Is there an accent you can't do, Michael?
Yeah, Black Country. Very difficult accent, Black Country. I can't really do that one. I haven't really studied it.
But
there are so many different... But remember, I mean, I had one grandfather who talked about, I'd better put that left-hand oinden down there. And I had another grandfather who was really like this. You think we didn't speak English at all. He only spoke the South American. So it was such a hell of a mixture. Because Dad was Peruvian. Everybody says, you're not a Peruvian. I said, yes, I am. They said, well, where is Peruvia? They know it's called Peru, half people. And, you know, people think it's a con. No, I really am a Peruvian. I was conceived in Peru. Mum and Dad were on an extended honeymoon after the war with my 4.5-year-old brother. I mean, they'd been married and all, you know, very respectable.
Yes.
And they'd taken my elder brother, who was 4.5, out to Peru so that Dad could build the Peruvian Air Force. He was a very fine aerodynamicist, aeronautical engineer. And so they took my big brother, really, with them. And they also took a Shetland pony in case the family didn't like the kid, you see. And it was a great success. They loved the kid. They loved the Shetland pony. And it was such a glorious atmosphere and everything. And then there was a revolution. So Dad didn't build the Peruvian Air Force. But they had an extended honeymoon, which had been delayed by the war. And I got conceived in Peru.
And along came you.
And as soon as Mother knew I was on the way, she said, must go to England so this child can receive the great blessing, the first prize in the lottery of life, and be born British and pay a fortune in income tax for the rest of it. Which of course
and also learn how to do practically every accent under the sun apart from
well, that
the
you
Black
learn
Country.
if you don't speak English. When you start, you know, and very few babies do speak English when they start. I mean, I've got a pair of great-grandsons who are French, and they're not like, they're twins, but they're not like English twins who go, they don't, they go,
Michael, has any actor ever come to you to seek advice about accents? Because these days you see on the end of major drama serials, dialogue coach, even on the end of stage shows.
No,
did anybody come to you for coaching?
Yes, Pete Sellers did, because Peter had a great gift. Between his ears there was a recording machine, and while you were talking to him, your own voice came back. And you'd say, Pete, you'd say, yes, Mike, in your voice. You'd say, you're doing it again. Doing what, oh man? Doing my voice. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. In your voice, he'd say. He had this gift of mimicry.
That came across on the
but he wasn't an
documentaries
originator. No, he wasn't an originator. But if you gave him a voice, that was perfect. He came to see me and he said, I've got to play this part of a French detective called Clouseau, who's an idiot. I said, great, marvellous. He said, but I don't want to do a phony Frenchman speaking English. You know, one of those accents which are completely phony. He said, and you worked in France? I said, yes, I used to write for Robert Derry. And I'm a member, a confrère of the Société des auteurs compositeurs, you see. So he said, great. How did he speak? And I said, well, he had a slightly, so he spoke like that. You talk about Colette Boisse and myself. And he said, no, that's too much. And I said, wait a minute. I know the perfect one, perfect voice. He said, who? I said, Princess Margaret's hairdresser, who's a lovely guy, a lovely, lovely guy called Rene.
You'd known him for a long time, had you? Happened to know
yes, I knew him, and of course
hairdresser?
Pete knew him because he knew Princess Margaret. He was a great guy. And he was very tall and extremely handsome. And he had one of those sexy voices, which has that one, but he used to put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. And he occasionally put the H in where it wasn't needed, and occasionally dropped the H. And we were having dinner, and they've all been invited together. And his wife, Huguette, was on the other side. And he said, you know, Your Royal Highness, my wife, Huguette, has a lovely ass. And we all went, oh, my God. Because it was, you know, dinner and all, you see. And she said, really, how very interesting, she said. And he said, yes, she has a lovely house by the river with 5 rooms. And he had a pet minke and all these wonderful things. And I saw Pete go, oh, because that was it. That was the voice he wanted. Oh, Rene's a lovely guy.
So you directed him in the right direction, as it were,
well, yeah,
to find the
I helped him
voice.
with Russians and all sorts of different voices. You know.
I mean, going back to the potties, did anybody ever recognise themselves as one of the potties? Because you had to be stealing characters for those, well, not stealing them, but turning people that you knew into potties.
No, I used voices because, remember, the potty was only a hat and a nose and the hair and an archetypal costume, which was made by the Queen's dressmaker, who was called Joan Griffiths, an absolute genius.
Joan made all the potty costumes?
Joan made them all, and Stanley made the models for me. So I used to design the models, I used to create the characters, design the models, think up the script, write the script, record the script, and then go and play the whole thing back with dear old Leon Thor, who was Australian, used to say, why don't you just get hold of a broom and sweep out the studio at the same time? You're doing everything else. You know? So we were doing this, and Leon was a very good direction, what have you. And it was a wonderful feeling of teamwork the whole time, working on it.
Now we can see it on the video. Thank you very much indeed, Michael Bentine.
Lovely to see you, Sarah.
Now, this weekend,